This is KGW News at noon.
From the mountain to the coast, we are beginning this news at noon today with a couple of live looks across the state. On the left there, you can see some people enjoying the snowpack up at Timberline Lodge. On the right, Cannon Beach with a little spot of blue on the horizon. Bringing in Rod Hill now, some parts of the valley. We're actually seeing some snow mix this morning, you called it.
Yeah.
We see more of that.
Well, absolutely the possibility of getting a snow shower or chunky rain, at least at times, continues today and actually continues through the weekend. This is all, look how big this batch of air is out in the Pacific that is feeding into us. All this cold, very showery weather will continue to move in. The storm front came in early this morning, and now we are seeing the precipitation rates generally back off, become lighter, and the precip is definitely becoming more scattered. But you can see it's rain snow showing up on radar in eastern Oregon. Certainly a rain snow here on the west side. The snow primarily over the coast range at noon. And now we've got just some flurries. Should pick up at times, but just some flurries right now up around Mount Hood. Here's the radar on the west side. So Gaston's primarily rain. And then you get just up in elevation, you start to pick up the light snow. Temperatures are slowly rising. We've been in the 30s. Now we're at 42 degrees. I don't think we get more than 2 or 3 degrees warmer today at most. That would take us up to 45. Right now, it's chilly. 39 Sandy, 36 Happy Valley, 39 Oregon City, 39 out in Forest Grove, 41 degrees in Salem. These temperatures remain above freezing well through the evening hours. I don't see any big problems if you're going to be out and about traveling tonight or this evening. Overnight, we'll get into a heightened chance of maybe seeing some scattered low snow spots for some brief or light accumulations, but that's about it over the next 24 hours. 42 degrees at 4 o'clock, a chilly night with that rain snow shower mix and a temperature of 37. China, back to you.
Rod, thank you. Right now in Salem, lawmakers today are voting on two big bills of the short legislative session. Now, the first one, Governor Tina Kotek's housing bill, Senate Bill 1537. Governor Kotek wanted $500 million to increase affordable housing, but lawmakers cut that by $150 million. The bill would also increase land supply and fund the creation of critical infrastructure like sewer and water. If the Senate votes to advance the bill, it will head to the House. Over in the House, lawmakers are expected to vote on a bill that makes major changes to Measure 110. House Bill 4002 will recriminalize public drug use with potential jail time that can be avoided by a combination of completing drug treatment and probation. If it passes, it will head to the Senate. Turning now to the southern border as officials in Brownsville, Texas, await President Biden's arrival. Both President Biden and former President Donald Trump plan dueling visits to Texas today. Each candidate is hoping to highlight their proposed solutions to the situation at the border, with each other blaming one another for causing it in the first place. NBC national correspondent Jay Gray is in Brownsville with more.
Well, in his second trip to the southern border since taking office, President Biden will be here in Brownsville. The White House saying that he'll meet with local leaders as well as Border Patrol agents. He's also trying to ramp up some pressure on congressional Republicans to take action on a bipartisan border security measure that's really been a political football in Washington, passed back and forth in Congress and the White House involved as well. So he's going to try and push for that. While former President Trump will be just up the Rio Grande Eagle Pass, the border continues to be a primary issue as a part of his campaign to retake the White House. Overnight, he released a campaign video on social media linking recent murder of Georgia nursing student Laken Riley to what he calls the administration's, quote, open border policies. Both expected to lay out what they think is needed to help the crisis here, to help the problems that really have been escalating over the last several years. And of course, both also expected to push back and forth between one another. And I think it's no coincidence that all of this comes less than a week away from the Super Tuesday primaries here in Texas and across the country. And that's the latest from Brownsville. I'm Jay Gray. Now back to you.
And while the presidential candidates try to shore up votes over the issue of immigration, a federal judge this morning blocked a Texas law that allows police to arrest migrants they suspect entered the U.S. illegally. This is a victory for the Justice Department, who argued the ruling was unconstitutional. That law was set to take effect March 5th. Texas officials are expected to appeal. A former pro wrestler accused of killing his wife is now facing murder charges, and he's scheduled to make his first court appearance today. Court documents say in early February, 70-year-old William Haynes Jr. allegedly shot and killed his 85-year-old wife at a home in Portland Lentz neighborhood. Now, you may remember from previous reporting, Haynes, also known as Billy Jack Haynes, was in the World Wrestling Federation for more than a decade, starting in the 80s. His time in the ring ended in the 1990s, and he spent much of his time after in Portland. He's expected to appear in Multnomah Court this afternoon. Utility companies Northwest Natural says Oregon customers can expect a credit on their bills in February and April. The company says it's to help reduce energy costs. They estimate residential customers will receive close to a $19 credit on their February bills, pending approval from the Oregon Public Utility Commission. Residential customers can expect another estimated credit of around $7.50. A popular bagel shop in North Portland is doing away with tipping, but that does not mean that you'll be spending less on bagels. In fact, Bernsteins Bagels is increasing its menu prices by 20%, giving its workers a $14 wage increase instead of relying on customers' tips. One of the owners says they hope that this model will give workers a better guarantee what they earn at the end of the day, rather than depending on the inconsistent nature of sales.
You know, the restaurant industry is one of really just a few where you go to work and you're like, you don't exactly know what you're going to make in a day. And I don't think that's really right or fair.
Now their popular bagel sandwiches will increase from $10 to about $12 to $13. And across the country, people are dealing with increasing grocery bills as some staple items are seeing their prices rise. NBC's Linda Baquero talked with the Food Housekeeping Institute to find ways to save.
With inflation down from pandemic highs, are food prices following?
They're ridiculously high.
Inflation peaked recently in 2022 at just over 9%, and the cost of dining out is up 5% over last year, according to the Consumer Price Index. Stephanie Sassos keeps tabs on inflation rates as nutrition and fitness director at the Good Housekeeping Institute in Manhattan.
So this past year, it's been about 3 to 5%, depending on different reports. Whereas in the previous year, just as a comparison, it was 10%. So we're definitely moving in the right direction.
At the supermarket, she describes a mixed bag these days. While avian flu decimated the supply of eggs in 2022 and 2023, inventory is rebounding and prices have dropped.
So they're about down 24% from what they were last year. So that's some good news.
And there's good news on the cost of some fresh produce.
We're also seeing decreases in lettuce, tomatoes, apples, and fresh vegetables, which is great. There are more increases in some of the processed foods this past year, but definitely better than the year before.
But prices remain high for other items on your grocery list.
Meat is, of course, a big ticket item on the grocery list, and it has increased in price this past year, especially beef. So if you can try and go meatless maybe once or twice a week, do a vegetarian meal, that can significantly cut costs.
When it comes time to doing your regular shopping, here are some tips to make sure that you can save some money. Try curbside pickup. Some stores charge a fee, but it's usually lower than a delivery charge.
And sometimes shopping online can be helpful because you see that cart add up in real time. Whereas when you're in the grocery store and you're throwing things in your cart, and if you have kids like myself, they're throwing things in the cart too.
Before going to the store, review what's already in your pantry for meal ideas. And Sassos points out items in the center of the aisles at eye level tend to be more expensive, so look above and below and compare prices.
Thank you so much.
The Justice Department is looking into the mid-air door plug blowout that happened last month on Alaska Airlines flight 1282 over Portland. According to Bloomberg, the move could expose Boeing to criminal prosecution. The DOJ is investigating whether the incident violates an earlier deferred prosecution agreement between Boeing and the government over 2 fatal crashes in other countries. Those crashes happened in Indonesia in 2018 and Ethiopia in 2019. Boeing came to a $2.5 billion settlement. But if prosecutors find that the blowout violated that agreement, Boeing could face criminal charges. The Alaska Air incident above Portland happened 2 days before the terms of that agreement were due to expire. The Justice Department has 6 months to investigate. Now to a corporate shakeup for the Portland Timbers. The team has terminated their partnership with DeBella, which is a home improvement contractor in Hillsborough. The company was the team's newest jersey sponsor and only had their logo on the kits for one game before the Timbers dropped them. The move came after the Oregonian reported on court documents that claim the company's chief executive faces allegations of sexual harassment in the workplace. The allegation surfaced in a court filing last Friday. The Timbers said that they learned of the allegation yesterday and quickly dropped DeBella as a sponsor. We reached out to the company and we have not heard back. In the meantime, the Timbers have faced similar issues of their own. The team fired several executives after accusations they allowed a toxic workplace for women, mishandling sexual harassment claims among players with the Portland Thorns.